All right, guys, how's it going? East Banglers out here today. We're talking all about Los Vasqueros. We're talking about fishing at Los Vasqueros, and we're talking about trout fishing specifically today. Los Vaqueros is in the Bay Area, California. It's one of those lakes where doesn't get talked about too much, doesn't get the limelight, but there is a massive amount of trout being stocked, and trout that already have been stocked in the last 4 or 5 months. But that place right now, the trout fishing is on fire. And we're going to talk today about fishing Los Vaqueros. What are the things you need to be doing, what's going to get you more bites, more fish. And at the end of the day, here's some of the things that you need to keep in mind. You want to make sure that, when you're fishing at this lake, that, you're generally going to want to be on that east side of the lake. When you're trout fishing, it just seems like the east side of the lake predominantly is where the majority of the trout are caught in general. That's just the way it is for whatever reasons. So that one thing right there is going to help you eliminate almost half that lake right away. Focus on that east half. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you guys is going to give you a big head start is going to be that when you guys go to Los Vaqueros, there's going to be a lot of rattlesnakes in the summer, and there's some areas where there's rocks and some areas where you might be able to make some shortcuts, but I wouldn't recommend it. A lot of times you'll end up running into one. So if you're out there and you go on the southeast end, you're going to have a lot of bank fishermen in this area concentrated. That's generally where the trout planting truck comes in right there, and they kind of disperse from there. But it does seem like those fish don't generally move as much as I think a lot of other fish in other reservoirs or lakes where there's a lot of incoming water. But these trout are definitely going to be suspended. So I usually like to have a longer leader. I like to have something in that 2, 3, even 4 feet long for my leader. I start longer and go shorter. I don't start short and go longer. This is going to be a huge, thing, because something about the water column, and it sounds weird, but those couple inches, the variables in temperature, degree change, all that. I've literally caught trout, same spot. You know, everybody around me is using roughly, I don't know, 10-inch leaders, 3-foot leaders, 6-inch leaders, and I just happened to hit the sweet spot with a 26-inch leader. And for whatever reason, that's when they just went on, a feeding frenzy. So getting your bait in the right area of that water column that these fish are feeding in, and there's different reasons for that, but that's a big thing. Make sure your bait is floating, obviously. If it's not floating, for rainbow trout, you're really wasting your time. As far as, getting out there and consistently catching fish, what you need to do is you need to focus on the early bite or the late bite. So you want to get there early or you want to get there late. But generally, there's going to be a few areas that are going to be really good. I think I made a map on that, one of my previous videos, where we discussed some of the better areas to fish in that lake for trout. Obviously, we said the east end of the lake, but we kind of get more specific with spots. So let me just go ahead and say all the points on the lake on that east side, everything that's a point, even if it's the smallest indentation feature on land that's in the point shape, that's where you're going to have a lot of those fish. A lot of those fish are going to hang out. You're going to be able to get to them best on those points, except when the plant trucks are there. Obviously, some people might say being close to the truck, being right on them. But those points, they seem to be highly productive. They allow you to cast out at a variety of angles, but be able to cast out further. And it just seems like, every fish, for whatever reason, they move up and down these points. It's just how they move. So, you guys are out there at Los Vaqueros and you're fishing for trout. Keep in mind, this place gets windy, okay? This place gets really windy. So bells, as far as, I wouldn't go with bells. And you're saying bobbers? Yes. Bobbers, yes. But, put a 3 foot, 4 foot leader. Like, let that bobber have 3, 4 foot slack so that, it's really down there. And when that wind takes it up and takes it down, you're not paying attention for that. You're waiting for that thing to basically go all the way to the top. And that's when you go and, you can be aware of things happening, but sometimes it gets so windy out there, it's hard to manage. And so another, thing is try to use a heavier bobber, not super heavy, but just not a small bobber. And this will help reduce that bobber from bouncing around a lot. If you guys are out there using lures, it's hard to beat a Castmaster and it's hard to beat the Rapalas. I've got some videos on those best colors, but get out there with a straight gold, a straight silver, and a fire tiger. It doesn't really matter. A silver, a gold pattern, and a fire tiger pattern are really all you need. Don't forget your tube action. There's a lot of tube action. Tubes work really well. Getting them out far enough is that's the difficult part. So, there's a variety of ways to catch these trout. Obviously, there's mice tails and rainbow power bait and different flavors of power bait. I would probably be more partial to telling you that garlic scented original power bait's been highly productive for me at Los Vaqueros for rainbow trout. For whatever reason, it's been the most productive. So all this information, guys, I'm trying to think of anything else I can do to help you catch fish at Los Vaqueros. Well, I would say always take a look at the cleaning station. Always take a look, because you're going to be able to see that thing doesn't get, garbages don't get emptied, cleaning stations, they don't get emptied daily. You're going to be able to see, what's going on. Is there any activity? Is anybody catching anything? That's always another thing. But also, you guys are going to be able to take some of those, if you want, take some of those leftovers and use them as bait, and you can catch just about anything that swims on it. But stripers love it, catfish love it, and even trout like it. So it's just knowing which part of the guts or which part of this and that. I can tell you that the trout really like the heart. The heart, if you can get that and throw that out on a small hook, the heart of a trout for whatever reason, that's really good for them. But you guys, if you guys have any other questions about this place, let me know. Throw me the questions. I'll answer them. This is the kind of fishery where generally, I think the bass tend to, let's just say that there's a lot more structure on the west side of the lake. There's deeper water access. So there's going to be a lot more of the striped bass and the largemouth over there, and even the panfish, than on the east side. And so a lot of this has to do with, structure and layout and these fish. And so these trout, I wouldn't be, susceptible to, it's kind of hard, because these trout, they're not very smart when they're planted, but they're also aware not to go into what is basically a disaster situation. So, swimming in open, deep water, on the structure side with the bass, I think generally these fish have their areas. I think these bass maintain certain territory. I think they're very territorial, and so they're gonna crush any trout that come over their way. And so hopefully you guys ended up enjoying some of this information. Stay tuned for more, guys. Thanks a lot. EBA.